Welcome to Cashflow Savannah. This is podcast episode 72. Today we have a very special guest, Miriam Keaton. Chandler, is Miriam wonderful or is Miriam wonderful?
Yeah, she's the best. I always enjoy getting to talk to her. She's one of the one or two that I really go for when I go to the Cashflow Savannah meetups. We always have a good conversation. So
Absolutely. Miriam is a local here. She's married to an Army veteran. They were moved here by the Army over to Hunter Army Airfield. And I met Miriam actually years ago when I first started the meetup here in Savannah. We saw an opportunity that there was no one really for the ladies. Like every meetup I would go to, it was mostly guys. And a lot of the women that I talked to at these meetups were very intimidated, including myself, quite frankly. It was a little bit like, whoa, because I didn't know a lot of them when I was new. And so we started a meetup, and the beginnings of our Cashflow Savannah meetup was that it was for women, it was for lady real estate investors. That was the title. And Miriam came to the very first meetup, and I so enjoyed meeting her. I said, oh my gosh, like it was such a cool thing that we started in that all these people came out of the woodwork that I had never seen before. They had never been to other meetups, and they had been very intimidated. And so we actually built the Cashless Savannah meetup based on that. And so we were going probably 4 or 5 months. And then the gentleman started going, can I come? I'm uncomfortable, because the name was for women real estate investors. So we ended up changing the name. We'd always want to be inclusive. But I have to say, Miriam, she's been a supporter from day one with that. And it's been really great getting to know her.
yeah, she's always been. I feel like she's always there. She never misses. So, but the thing about Miriam, she is just not afraid to go after anything. She's just like from her conversations that I had with her, like it's just like, yeah, I saw this house and I wanted to call and I found the number and I just called them. And it's just that's just how she is. Kind of even in a story that you're going to hear, she's like, "Yeah, I just went after it," and I feel like that perfectly describes her.
Well, and we didn't get into it on this on her talk, but Miriam used to work for a wholesaler. She used to door knock. Okay, she has a lot of history in Savannah, knocking doors, running deals, running numbers. Like she had all that in her background when I first met her, and I said, "Wow, she knows her stuff." And she has just continued on for herself, in the years since then. So she's a go-getter. You will not scare Miriam with much. She's really cool. Without further ado, we bring in Miriam Keaton. Welcome to Cashflow Savannah podcast. Miriam Keaton, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So Miriam, let's just get right into it. Like, who are you? What do you do? Give us a little background.
All right. So I am originally from Canada. Um, now I'm here in the US because my husband is American from Tennessee. But my story about real estate started way before I was even an agent. It started way before that trendy thing about people wanting their rehab and doing all these things. It started in Canada with my boyfriend at the time, who was a general contractor. And so it started there, and we just started because we needed a house. So we decided, okay, let's build a house. Like we had a piece of land that is, I think his parents gave him. So we built the house from scratch, the both of us, with some help obviously for the structure and stuff. But that's really where it started with that first house. And I remember like doing a lot of it, like with him, like the sheetrock and like these 12 sheet 12 by
Before.
yeah by 4 sheetrock. Like I was like, hurry up, mom. And everything basically. I always touched a little bit of everything. Plumbing, I remember doing the roof. Even like we did our own roof. Like I was like, this is not even that hard. Like it's kind of easy to do a roof. But I've always been kind of hands-on. I love doing things with my hands. If I'm too long on a computer, I get like kind of like angst and see to I need to move, I need to go do something with my hands. So it started with a house, and then it continued. We stayed in it for a few years. We sold it, then we bought another one, and we sold it again, and we bought another one, and we sold it again, same thing. And then eventually, I was working for the Canadian National Railway at the time, and there was a huge layoff. Like they were laying off like a lot of people, and they asked who wants to be laid off. I guess they were offering instead of just deciding to cut just whoever. And I said I want to because they were giving you like a year's salary plus your already pension that which I didn't have much, but so I said, I want to be laid off because, and so my boyfriend at the time quit his job. We bought a sailboat and we crossed all over the ocean to St. Lucia in the Caribbean. And so I lived on a boat for 2 years. So
Wow.
we did like we did like the surf and turf kind of thing where we were having tourists from Canada coming down to the Caribbean and we would go from island to island and like that. And then eventually what had happened is that we split up, me and my boyfriend. So um, I was in St. Lucia. So I was like, what the heck am I supposed to do now? So first off, I was gonna find a little apartment for me to live in so I could just like kind of like think about what would be my next move. Am I going back? Am I gonna do something here? I wasn't quite sure at the time, but I was looking for an apartment and I parked my car right in front of a gate. And a guy came out rushing and running and with his arms up in the air. And he was like, you can't leave your car there. This is my main gate for my guests. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then he said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm looking for a place to rent. I'm looking for a small apartment. He said, you could rent this place. And I was like, this is a little bit bigger than what my budget can afford. And he said, no, but this is a business. This is a bed and breakfast. You can, my boyfriend and I, they were German. It was like a homosexual couple. And they wanted to move back to Germany and they were looking for somebody to take over the bed and breakfast.
Wow.
So
You just happened to park in their driveway and you got
yes,
a
I just
job.
happened to
And
park there. And I when he told me that he was looking for somebody to take over, I just laughed because I was like, this is so not, it was out of the blue. It was just something falling off of the sky. And you're like, no, what is this? You know, this is not what I was here for. It was really strange, but I went back. I lived on a boat with my ex-boyfriend at the time. So, and I started thinking about it at night. I was like, this is a great location. It was like 2 minutes from the beach, 2 minutes from the bus stop, 2 minutes from the shopping center, 2 minutes. The location could not have been more ideal. So I was thinking about it. The next day I went over and I asked him to show me his books. And he showed me his books and he showed me his revenues and his expenses. And I just had a year salary from my job. So, and I was like, if I sell the sailboat, because we owned it together jointly with my ex-boyfriend, then I can do that. So I took it. I said, I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm doing it. So I did it. So then, of course, it was an older house. So it was not a major rehab.
real quick question. So you bought the house
The
and
business, not the house.
so he kept the house and you agreed to a rental, right? And then you
Correct.
run the business. Okay, sorry, I had to
Yeah.
go back on that.
So, yeah. So I was just renting the place, but I was running the business. So that's what happened. So I said, okay, I'm doing it. So in that way, I think like I've never been scared of risk. Like for me, I feel like I prefer to take a little risk than not do anything. Because if I don't do anything, then I feel like I'm stagnating. I'm not moving. Yes, it's scary, but I like going towards uncomfortable kind of places because I feel like this is where you develop new skills and open the doors to new opportunity and keep on evolving and growing as a human. So I'm attracted by that. I've never been this kind of, because I started rehabbing it just like it was light stuff, but like I painted all of the outside like super like red hot chili pepper red on the balcony and mango orange on one wall, and it was like really bright and sunny and fun. And inside, like I sewed my like bed covers and I sewed like the curtains, and I furnished it with the best I could with what I had, and it was actually really cute and really nice. It was just a 5 bedroom bed and breakfast, but it was really great. It worked out really, really well. But after 3 years of doing that, it was during that time where there had been a big hurricane on St. Lucia and there was less tourists. And when there's less tourists, the crime goes up because there's less job for everybody, and people are not that rich, and the main industry is basically tourism. So when tourist is down, then people are looking for other. They go shopping and basically shop in the backyards, and they look for clothing lines, and they look for people who leave their nice Nike on the porch, like things like that. It got a little bit dangerous, and I was like, it's time for me to move on. So I moved on, and I left it to my ex-boyfriend, by the way. I was like, you can have it. It didn't keep it long, though. It didn't work out for him because I guess it's, when you own something like that, you become the branding of your place. Anything in life that you're going to be like you, Chandler, and you, Julie, your is part of you. So it's kind of an extension of you. So if you're not there anymore, the soul is kind of like not the same, and it didn't work out for him. But I moved on, and then
If I can just lay you down for 1 second, Miriam. So you lived in it, you did the cooking, you did what, one
yes,
meal a day, multiple meals a day?
no, I just did the breakfast, and once in a while I would do dinner,
And
but mostly it was breakfast.
you did all the cleaning?
I did. No, I had a lady, her name was Barbara, and
Okay.
she was my cleaning lady, and she would do the cleaning, and sometimes she would also just manage the whole thing when I was not there. Like, because I would take small contracts, I would go cook on sailboats for a week or two, to have extra money, and I would leave her in charge. She was fantastic. She was like a family member. Like, she was really, really great. So
Well,
it was me and Barbara.
I'm pretty sure this predates Airbnb because this was a while ago.
Yes.
So I'm curious.
Actually, and you know what? At the time, I was doing short-term rentals, and I
Yeah.
didn't know that was going to be a thing, or that was a thing. But if my Airbnb was full, I would find other homeowners that had, like, they were not always there. Sometimes they would live like in England or in the US or in another country. Their place were beautiful. They were just sitting there vacant. So I would just contact them and reach out to them and say, hey, you can make money by, I can book your place. And I would do that too. And I could have done it even more if I had stayed there, but it was time for me to move on. But yeah, I was kind of doing the Airbnb thing before it even started.
So how did you get renters and how did you collect money? Like, can you just give us a rundown? Because this is kind of interesting. This is not something we get to talk about. Can you tell us kind of what years these were when you were running this bed and breakfast?
Yes, I was like a long time ago. That was like 1995. So it was not even digital back. There was
Internet.
credit card machine, and they would just come to my own place, and I would just charge them, and I would did my own like invoices from my computer to the homeowners, and then we settle on a commission that I was gonna give them, and that's how we were operating. It was all manual work. And I remember I had a small website that I had built myself, and I managed to kind of have it ranking like, I don't even remember how I did it, but I did like a fast little course online.
In 1995, you had a website?
Yes, it was a little website. It was around that time though,
I got
95, 98. It was not even 2000 yet.
no, I got
Yeah.
email like 1998. Maybe
Maybe it was 1998, somewhere around there. It was a very small scale, though. It was not like I had maybe like 3 or 4 different owners that were willing to let me have their place for a commission. And yeah, and then I would send Barbara over to clean, and when there would be a turnaround, there was some big festivals sometimes. There was a race from the Canary Island to St. Lucia every year, and that was bringing a lot of people over. And I was during that time where I needed more rooms. Yeah.
wow. So cool. Okay, sorry, I had to stop you there to really
Have you
understand
been
us.
back recently?
Huh?
Have you been back there recently to check it out?
No, I know it's not an Airbnb anymore. After I left and my ex-boyfriend took it, and he closed down shortly after because he is really not having the social skills developed so much. So they turn it into some kind of like a small like office spaces or something like that. That's what they did with it. Because the location was absolutely fantastic. You could not wish for, and that's the one reason why I knew it was gonna work. Even though I didn't have I was starting from fresh, although I had these people's ex-customers, clients that would guests rather, that would still come sometimes, but I had so many people just stopping by just by walking in front and say, hey, do you have rooms? We're at this hotel, but we don't really like it. This is a great look. So I had most of my guests came like that, just from walking. It was amazing. So after I left it, I went to the marina and I saw an ad on the billboard and they were looking for a chef on a private yacht. So I applied and the stewardess, who is still my friend nowadays, she said that my interview was going to be that I needed a cook for everybody, for the crew. And she gave me the menu, and I remember it was like Grand Marnier souffle and beef stroganoff. It was like a big thing. And but I did it. So they were super happy. And then I got the job. And long story short, this is how I met my husband because my husband was working on that boat as a mate. And so that's how we met. We met on a yacht. And then I met James, and then we got married and we started rehabbing houses again because I was like, yay, let's do that. So we were in Clarksville and I was like, we look for a house. We got a little house, we rehabbed it, open walls, changed floors, paint everything, changed the cabinets. Like, yeah, we did it one more time in Tennessee. We sold that one. We never really kept them though. We just rehabbed them and flipped them. We kept one though that we still have after 20 years. And then we moved after that, we went to Germany and Korea. And now here's Savannah. And we bought another house here, which we just kind of we're almost done rehabbing. But yeah, it was a full gut on that one. And again, we did everything ourselves, floors and except when we opened a big wall that was supporting, so we had a contractor do that, but the rest we did all by ourselves. And I do a lot of it myself too. I built all the door frames. I installed all the doors by myself when James is not here. Every, Basically everything I can do. I never say I can't. I hate that word. I never say I can't do it. So I always going to give it a try, do some, YouTube video. And then Julie told me I don't know when was that, like Julie, maybe 6 months ago, you were like, had a lot of work and you were like, I was like, I wish I could help you or something like that. And you said, well, just do your license and then you can come and help me. And I was like, you know what? That's a good idea. And I jumped on it and I did it. And here we are today. So
yes,
yeah.
you are. You are officially the first member of Team 912, I guess after myself. But you are now a licensed agent. You've got a great background in real estate, Miriam. I've been on multiple fix and flicks jobs with you while you were hunting deals. We never were successful, trying to buy something together, but no, you know your stuff. And I want to say for our audience, I have been to Miriam's home. She tiled the whole place herself. You did the flooring too, right? You did the tile and the flooring.
Yeah, we did.
Your work is impressive. Like I can see why you do it yourself because you guys are just absolutely meticulous. And
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But actually, one of the reasons why we decided to do it ourselves is because after hiring people, I wasn't satisfied with the quality of the work they were doing. So I was like, I'm not, plus they charge you like an arm and a leg. So I was like, no, I'm not, no, thank you. I got this. I'm going to figure it out.
that's right.
Yeah. So, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So I want to back it up and kind of go to the rehabbing part, and then we'll kind of work into the agent stuff. So when you and your husband were buying homes, did y'all have some sort of guideline that y'all were buying, like worst house in the best neighborhood? Like how were y'all making money, or would y'all just get it and?
Well, no, we kind of like look at the comparables and see. I always wanted to buy, obviously, something that needed work because if it doesn't bring value, then for me, it wasn't something I wanted to do because obviously the main goal was to make some profit. So, but I didn't really have huge like understanding of as much as now after I've studied like all this content to be a real estate agent. But I knew just the basic that obviously you cannot pay more than what it's going to bring you. So I would just, from my experience in Canada, being with a general contractor, I had a really good understanding of what the prices were, because although they had changed, but still I knew kind of what to look for. And in a house, like the structure and the main five like the foundation, the roofs, the water heater, the HVAC, like I knew to look out for these things. And these are the major expenses. So and then after that, just look at comparables, what they sold for, were they rehab, were they not rehab, like what was the condition. And I would just go from there. Basically, it was really not any formal training or anything. It was just, us looking like we're doing now, basically, and comparing and just negotiating too at the purchase price. I've always been negotiating all my deals. I never paid full price.
My girl, what's the
But
hardest thing
yeah.
you've done as all the rehabs you've done? What's the hardest, thing you fixed really gave you a run for your money?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question because I seriously feel that every single house has their own challenges because when you're in a fixing and flipping, you just never know what you're going to find. Like you might think it's everything looks great, but then you start opening walls and you're like, oh my gosh, I have termites. And there was no disclosure because it was a somebody that inherited. So we had that at one point, and then we kept on like finding like drywall that was kind of just like loose, and the termites they eat the wallpaper. And then if you see that you have like a loose kind of something that looks just like a patch, or it's kind of like a bubble
Really?
on your wall, yeah, it could be an indication that because they sometimes they eat the glue in the drywall.
I have never
So
heard this. That is, I have seen bubbles like that before. That makes so much sense.
yes, it could definitely be that for sure.
Well, and may
Yeah.
I say, termite damage is so, I've dealt with it. I just completed a project just last week, and it was cheaper for me to let the house sit vacant for 6, 8 months than it was to fix all the damage. That's how expensive it was. And I said, well, we're just going to sit on this because I don't have the money right now. It's just brutal.
Was it an active infestation or was it?
It was. So we
It
killed the
was.
infestation, we killed the bugs. That was the first thing we did. But the wood floor in the hall was like a trampoline. You could jump up and down
Yeah.
and it would spring you. And
Yeah.
it was uninhabitable at that point. We had had people staying in there. And then once I realized the extent of the damage, we just shut it down for about 6 months.
That was my one of my most challenging thing because um you think it's fixed. It was not active though. It was not a active infestation. But then you just like look again under another light
Yeah.
and you're like, ooh, that looks like a bubble. And you just poke it and then oh, sure enough, they were here too. And then you keep scraping and like, okay, I need to stop scraping because I don't want to find anymore.
If we can say on termites, I have to say the thing I have learned is, and I should have just absolutely known this, but you can't have water sitting under a home. You're inviting termites because that creates moisture. Moisture rots the wood and they eat rotten wood and it's going to draw them. It's not if, it's when. So in this property, for example, I knew we had an infestation. We killed the termites, but there was water standing under the house and I didn't realize it because to get in the house is like a 12-inch crawl space. So once we pulled up the floor and could see all the water sitting under the house, then we had to add a sub pump, which it got even more expensive. That's what I'm saying with termites, you just never know. That sub
You
pump.
never know. So that's why number one for any house, your roof. Take care of your roof because your roof is what protects your whole house. Because as soon as your roof goes, you got water infiltration. And in this climate here, you definitely don't want to take this risk. Yeah, for sure.
Well, there's some
We
houses.
protect everything.
Chandler and I've been dealing with some houses here in Savannah and water sitting underneath them because it's kind of weird how the slope is. And so the roof is actually good, but the water is getting down and then the level, tell me if I'm saying it wrong, Chandler, but the water is running under the foundation and then sitting there. And that moisture, oh, we've had mold issues. We've had all kind of stuff. I think termites are probably next.
Yeah. Yeah, the termites is definitely huge. It's yeah, bigger than any issues that I've ever had. Like the rest, you can always fix it. I mean, water heater, roof, anything. This kind of problem is could be like a nightmare to deal with.
So how do you advise people you've seen a lot of fix and flips, you've done them personally, and I get this question all the time. How do you estimate a rehab budget? Because I want people to understand you don't always know. People want to know exactly how much they're going to spend before they write that offer. They want to know. That's impossible. I can't even say enough. You're never going to know. But what's your advice? Like knowing that you don't know it all, how do you estimate a rehab budget?
Knowing that you don't know it all, the things that you definitely need to look for is the five main, like I talked earlier, the five big ones. So look at the HVAC, the roof, the water heater, the foundation, the structure of the house. And those are the big things to look at. And the rest, I think it comes from experience too, how the knowing, like, for example, I do know that changing a floor for LVP is going to cost you maybe about between $5 and $6 a square foot, depending on what you want. So this, you kind of have to learn these things. But I would advise to just like go, if you don't know how to calculate for flooring or tiles or painting, you just gotta ask people that that have done it, like investors, family members, people like me, reach or even Google. But Google, you gotta be careful because it's really a region specific too. Sometimes they'll give you a price and you're like, no, not in my locality, it's not that price. So but I would say definitely, and look at what I would suggest is look at the comparable. Ask your real estate agent to give you a list of comparable, and then look at the houses from that list that were rehabbed and non-rehabbed. And so try to estimate your price after rehab per square feet. That's what I do if I don't know all the information, because you cannot predict for everything because you're fixing and you're flipping, so none of the house are the same. Like your issues will vary and you might not have even like expected them to arise because you just never know what you're getting yourself into. So going for after repair value, I think it's your best bet, like finding house that were completely rehabbed that are similar to the subject house, and figure out the price per square foot, and then apply that to like if your house is 1,000 square feet and the price per square foot for fully rehabbed house is 180, then you're gonna do like 1,000 times 180. So you're gonna, know that your ARV is gonna be 180,000. So try to see if you can make it with if you can sell it for that price after you're done repairing it with what you need. As far as finding the price of the material, it's a tricky one for sure. It's not an easy one, and it's not something that you would know right off the bat. You need to educate yourself and find the sources that will help you find this information. It's not as There's no easy way. What do you say, Julie? What would you say?
I say overestimate always, just always overestimate what you're going to
I
spend.
was going to say that definitely add a margin. Definitely add like 10 to 20% after you're done, because definitely it's going to cost more than what you expected. There's one thing that everybody always forgets when we talk about budget rehab. They always forget the small things, the things that people don't see. They forget the electric outlet. Well, that
Oh
costs
my
money.
gosh.
They forget like the fans, the ceiling fans. They forget the hardware for the doors. All these little things, they add up really, really quickly, and they're easy to overlook, basically.
And they make a difference too
And
for the buyer.
yes, and a little bit of sheetrock that needs to be fixed in a room. You might not even plan for that because you're just going to look for the big things, but these little things, they add up. So definitely add the 10 to 20%
Well,
after you're done with your budget.
I'm going to give a plug for our meetup really quick, if you'll forgive me. Alex Chiappetta, this is on YouTube. He came to Cashflow Savannah meetup. Were you at that one, Miriam? I feel like
That was a really good one.
it was so good. He came, we videoed it. It is on YouTube if anybody's interested. And he told us how he estimated a rehab just based on photos. It was amazing. I learned a ton and I have taken that and expanded on it. And so I estimate rehabs all the time for clients just based on photos. And I'm doing the best I can. Obviously, I'm not, eyeballing the water heater when I'm doing that, but there's a way if you can just really push your numbers higher than what you're comfortable with. I would just always plan for the worst and always hope for the best. Like I think that's
Yeah,
that's part
that's a good way to put it if you don't want to. But sometimes it depends what you want to do with it too. Like if you want to just flip it, yeah, of course you're going for profit right away. But if you just want to hold it, then you might be fine with just making it even because you're betting on equity to build like year after year. So it just really depends on your exit strategy for
Yes.
sure.
Well, I buy and hold. I'm not a flipper. I'm kind of your opposite, which is fine. There's no wrong way. But I tend to get a property and then I try to get it nice enough and get it cash flowing. And then later on, when I feel like I have a little bit more, the property's made some, then I'll put more into it. That's what I've done many times in my portfolio, just because when you're buying your first few, you don't have 80,000 for a rehab, you might have 10. And so I would kind of do the best I could. And then later I replace the countertops. Like if you can kind of get away with waiting, if you're going to hold it anyway, you want it to be habitable and nice. You pretty much always are going to paint a place. But sometimes the floors can last longer. Like the one with the termite damage, I just replaced the kitchen cabinets. I've owned it 7 or 8 years, but it was time to replace the kitchen cabinets, but I got away with them for a while, so that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really smart. Anything you don't need to change. I mean, why would you, right? Sometimes just like a little bit of sanding and a coat of paint, like just will, do the job just fine. So absolutely, yeah.
So
Mm.
Miriam, tell us a little bit about what you have going on with you say you're flipping a property right now? Is that what y'all are doing?
I'm not, well, it's going to be flipped, yes, but this is the house that my husband and I bought like a couple years ago, and it was a 1963 ranch style house in Windsor Forest in Savannah, Georgia, in case some people are listening from out of state. And we gutted the whole thing like it was a shell after we were done with it. There was nothing, no floors, no doors, no door frames, no crown molding, no nothing. It was just like basically a box. And we rebuilt the whole thing from yeah, the ground up. And it's been very rewarding. I personally love doing these kind of things. Like when you want to be hands-on and doing it yourself, of course, like if you're doing it like for a business, then it has to be a quick turnaround, right? But for me, this is the house that I live in for now, and I knew I did not need to flip it in 6 months. So I was fine with taking my time redoing it. But I don't look at it as a job. I look at it like I like the progress. I enjoy the journey. I enjoy, like, I'm not in a rush. I'm not impatient when I do something. When I redid all my door frames, it just was one at a time. And, some people are impatient. They want to do it quickly and they want to be done with it. But I enjoy the process of it all. I did my whole own wallpaper in one of my room. I hand painted it. I did my own stencil and I did, yeah. So it looked like a real like wallpaper. And so these little things I enjoy, like the small details, like building little furniture and for a spice rack or something like that. But yeah, basically we did everything. And now we're almost ready to move on to another one.
What are you looking for now, Miriam? I know you're looking to purchase another house and potentially turn the one you're in into a rental. Is that right?
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
flip. But what's your next project? What do you envision as your next project? I know you're not under contract yet, but what are you looking for every day?
Every day I'm looking for my clients, basically. And for me, I'm thinking like these days I have a plan with Kyle, which you interviewed like shortly before me, right, Kyle?
Yes.
To assume a VA loan. That's what I have my eyes on right now because I feel like now is the time because these low interest rates are there, but these properties are not going to be there forever because these people, whether they want it or not, they probably don't want because they're sitting on this really nice low interest rate, but they might have to move. Maybe their job, like they're PCSing if it's the army, or like life happens, they have to move out. Eventually, these low interest rates will not be there anymore.
Right.
And I want to take this opportunity to get my hands on one for me and James that we live in, or if not that, maybe a few for renting. So that's kind of my goal.
Kyle on our team is very good with these VA loans, and we're in a great window because they were at a low interest rate 2 years ago. So that means not too much has been paid down on the principal. And so the loan on these properties is just as valuable as the property itself. So I think you're absolutely smart to go that direction, Miriam. Get a house with a low APR on the loan, and there's a little bit of cash that has to be covered in the middle. But no, that's exciting. And the great thing I love about being a real estate investor is there's no wrong answer. You can do it 6 different ways, and still be right. And you can do it 20 different ways and maybe you're wrong twice. I don't know. But any way you can get your hands on real estate, that is the absolute correct way to do.
I agree. And that's why, like, Kyle asked me this question because I had this conversation with him this morning and he was like, "What are you looking for?" I was like, this is my budget. I don't care how it looks like. Just bring me something that's going to fit in my budget. My box is my budget. It's not a 3-bed, 2-bath. What I want, what I can afford today. That's my box, basically. Because if it's a deal, it's a deal, right? Whether it's a 4-bed, 1-bath or a duplex or whatever it might be, it doesn't matter.
Well, I tell buyers all the time, they get a little bit like, what? When I ask them this question, but my first question is always, how much cash do you have? How much cash do you have access to? That's going to set the table for everything else. And so assuming a VA loan is a perfect example. If there's $200,000 spread between the loan and what they're wanting to get for the house, that's 200,000 in cash that you'd have to come up with. That's unlikely to sell as a assumable VA loan because someone would have to have a lot of cash. But Kyle's able to find stuff with a much smaller window of cash. But there are many people that don't even have $5,000 in cash. So that's probably not going to work for them because it is a cash play. But honestly, most of real estate is a cash play. But I always say, tell me what you're wanting and then tell me how much cash you have. And then let's structure a deal around that. And that is exactly what we did for Kyle and his family. He didn't even care about the house. He didn't care about the color. He really didn't care about the location as long as it was in a certain area. He bought the note more than he bought the home. And I think
that's where I'm at too. It's what works for me and James. It's not necessarily like the home, like you're saying. So basically, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Miriam, tell us a little bit about your real estate agent experience so far. How long have you had it? Just a couple months now, or?
I don't know. Time goes by so fast. Maybe a couple of months, but I think I just joined Remax maybe a month ago because
April 1.
Yeah, exactly. April's Fool.
And Chandler, for everyone that joins my team, I want them to close within 60 days. And Miriam is nailing that. She's written multiple contracts. She's got one under contract right now that'll close before our due date on my personal goal. But, again, Miriam's been in real estate for years. You've worked with wholesalers, you've bought, you've flipped, you've sold, you've done all the things. It's just the agent side that's very new to you. Give us your perspective as a new agent and also being a real estate investor. And we focus on real estate investors. How different is it, Miriam, now that you kind of see the back end, what agents go through? Do you have new respect for real estate agents? Because there's a lot of chatter that real estate agents have no place. They don't work. They don't deserve their fees. Like, there's a lot of drama going on in the background that most buyers and sellers have no idea about. Give us some insight there.
Oh,
Any names?
I know that's going to be tough because I'm just starting out. But what I'm realizing is that people know nothing about what this contract is about. I send something, they just sign it, they don't even look. So if you don't educate them on what the risk, people don't realize the liability and the responsibility that is involved in these contracts. And if you're not there to walk them through it, they would have never known like what's going on. And also, so I want to also say that I do have a lot of respect for real estate agents now. For one, I want to say that test was not easy. And the studying that's involved in doing that is something else. So yeah, just that, I'm like, okay, I deserve like a medal just for that. But I can't really, I'm just so new into all that it's hard for me to talk about the rest. But what I'm seeing is that so far is that interpreting the contracts and the law and the fair housing and the all of the negotiation part of it. And so that, yeah, I do respect, I have another understanding of what real estate agents are going through and how they can protect their clients and how they can help them negotiate negotiate the best deal for them, basically.
Yeah, it's so important. I had a situation this morning and the listing agent, I have the buy side and the listing agent has the sale, obviously. And he said, oh, they want to stay 2 extra days. They'll clean the house when they leave. And I said, cool, but they're going to leave money with the lawyer until they're out. And I checked that they're out and all their stuff is out. What? And I said, you know, my job is to protect my clients. And people don't realize you don't want to go into these transactions. I think it's a $700,000 property, right? Like that buyer, if they didn't have representation, what if the seller left all their furniture behind or, trash the house? Like it's so important to have good representation. And I talk to people all the time, oh, I don't want to sign an exclusive. The best thing you can do is sign an exclusive with the right person. They have your back. And
otherwise you're not represented.
Right. And I've seen you that way with your clients, Miriam. You're always very, very much like my client comes first and I'm going to make sure.
Yes, I was going to say that because with my client, she wanted to offer full price. And I said to her, don't offer full price. It's not worth it. It's not worth that. I suggested she offer 10,000 under. And then we didn't get it at first. Somebody outbidded us, but the house did not appraise as high as these other people offered. So they backed down. And then the agent called me back and she was like, hey, is your client still interested in that property? And she was, but I was so proud of myself because I negotiated correctly for her and I didn't make her overpay. And if I had not been there, if she had done it by herself, she would have overpaid. And so I was really proud of that. I was like, yes. And I just negotiated her just now an extra additional $5,000 of repair. So she ended up from $360, she ended up paying $345.
Can you tell us a little bit more about it? Is this a investor, a buy and hold, or?
No, it's a lady who's going to move in it with her little family and her daughter and her granddaughter. So it's going to be a full house.
It needs updating though. It needs
updating. Yeah, it's an older property, like 1963 in Windsor, and it does need updates. And that's how I was able to get that leverage on them. That first of all, the comps were too high. It was listed too high. And when you know your comps well, because I was a real estate investor before, I was able to spot that really quickly. Like it was, I think, listed for almost $200 a square foot, when I know very well that in Windsor, it goes between 154 and 187. So right off the bat, I was like, you're too expensive for once. And second, I know you're too expensive because it didn't even appraise the first time. So that I had a lot of leverage. So that's what I try to look at when I look at a deal. Where's my leverage? Well, how can I look at this deal so I find the leverage for my client? And I mean, that's worth everything when you hire a real estate agent and the agent works for you and is on your side and protects you and your hard-earned money. I mean, you can't buy that anywhere. Oh, yes, you can, but you know what I mean?
And that $10,000 that you saved your client, once they finance it over 30 years, that's now $20,000. I mean, there's just a lot of pride in that. And I've seen a million times, I work with a lot of out-of-state buyers and they think it's so cheap here, so they're like, oh, sure, I'll pay, I don't remember the sales price. I want to say 260. Sure, no problem. But it's like, if you can work with a local like yourself that really understands the comps, that's huge. I looked at a duplex last week with a client. And so, I liked it. I was kind of warming up on the thing, but I went and grabbed my computer out of the car. We sat, it was hilarious. They had this bed that was like on its side and the box spring was like vertical. So I set my computer on the side of the box spring and I was like, let me find comps. Like I could not find a comp for this property. Yeah. I could see the ARV comps, the high ones. And so I called the agent. I said, can you show me any comps between 5 and 600,000? I can't find any. And boy, she got defensive. And I said, oh, sorry. I don't want to upset the listing agent. But 3 days later, they dropped 50,000 off of that price.
Oh, wow.
Because I had highlighted to her that there's nothing at this level at this price, but my client was in the same. They were kind of like, okay, we'll just pay this price. And I was like, how can, so that's having someone.
And just the fact that you and I, Julie, work in the investing world, that we know what the cost of things is. Right. We can advise our customer. Like I was able to tell my client, sorry, like this kitchen is going to cost you 20. A bathroom is going to cost you between 6 and 10, depending what you want to do. The floor is going to cost you like at least $5 a square foot. Like we can tell them, we can inform them on that. that so they can make the right decision for them and their budget and their family. So I think that's also huge, like just knowing these little things. And she trusts me. Like she was working with another agent before, but she came to me because the other agent, she was always asking me. She was working with another agent, but she was calling me to ask me, hey Miriam, what do you think about that? Do you think I should go that way? Do you think I should offer that much? And then I would, tell her, well, I think it's too much. So anyways, at the end, like she realized I was more at her agent than our agent was. So she called me and she said, okay, you're my agent now.
You deserve that.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, that was pretty good. I was very proud.
That's
My first
impressive.
client,
What
my
did you say?
first deal, and my goal was one house in 30 days. And so I joined Remax the 1st of April, and on 28th I was signing my contract.
That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, I was really happy.
How are you finding these clients? Like, for agents out there that are listening?
Well, Remax sent me a lead, which I was really, Julie sent me some leads. And this was in my circle of friends and family. So
Okay.
reaching out and like, yeah. Hey, and I knew she was looking she was looking to buy something. So I just kept on sending her properties. That's what I do. That's actually my strategy, if you can say it that way. If you tell me you're looking for a house, I'm gonna send you some houses. I won't let you forget me. If you're buying something, you're gonna be like, this girl, she's involved, like she's investing in me. She cares about me and what I need. So that's kind of how I operate. If you tell me I'm looking for this, I'm not gonna leave you alone unless you tell, well, I'm not annoying either. I'm not gonna like overwhelm them with 100, but I'm just gonna once in a while I'm gonna send a property and I say, and they're real. It's not, I'm not just sending them anything just to send them something. I'm thoughtful about what it is that they need. And I really do think if I send it to them, that I think they will like it and it will be a good deal for them. So I feel like I'm just starting out, but I'm very sincere in how I want to work with people. I really want the best for them. And I'm never going to do anything for the commission, obviously. Otherwise, I would not have told that lady that that was too much money, that she should offer less. Or like, I care, I really care. I want people to be satisfied and happy, because at the end of the day, I think you are your own brand, and people will come to you because you took care of them and you looked out for their best interest. But how I do it is that's how I do it. That's why I've always done everything. I'm just being like, they want something, I'm just sending it to them. And
Well, Miriam, you've done a good job. We have a shared client and he's a fix and flipper. And how many offers have you written? Three or four?
or I
I've
think
gotten one yet, but that's the deal. We're investors. We know that's part of the deal. We're going to write multiple lowball offers, and one of those is going to work out, and the other ones aren't. And you've been just pounding him with properties. I love it. It's just
I
been
know I
so
have, but I told him, I said, if I'm overwhelming, I don't want to overwhelm you. And he's like, because I'm also really mindful of not wanting to do that. But if you want me to do that, I will. And he said, oh my gosh, no, please just keep sending them. So I was like, fine.
I love it.
Yeah.
You have
And
such a
I enjoy doing that. I enjoy going to look at properties. So if you call me out of the blue and you say, and I can, and you say, hey, I want to look at this, I'm going to be like, hell yeah, let's go right now. Jump in your car and meet you there. Like, I'm really motivated and excited. I love it. I love looking at older houses and see the opportunity or what it could be like, and turning something old into something new. To me, that's like an amazing creative kind of process. And I love being part of that.
There's something about the hunt of finding a house and like getting it. And
Yeah.
a
There's
trip to
something about the excitement of seeing a really old, stinky
yeah.
house and then like the before and after pictures, I love that.
We were looking at one on Zoom this morning. We had a meeting, Miriam and I and Kyle, and she was like, "Oh, it was terrible looking house, but we were so excited. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Your average agent is like, oh, $169,000,
That's
and we're like,
right.
oh, it was
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, that is really funny. We're not like most. We're definitely investor
Kind of
oriented.
fix and flippers right now, tough to sell. Even the pros. How are you kind of educating them to be successful?
Oh, I
Are just numbers in the super conservative where you can sell at a good price, or
I've got this one.
okay, go ahead, Julie,
Miriam,
because
she's been on the
you're
buy side.
prepared
She's
for that.
killing the buy side and she's about to hit the sell side. But this is a tough market. We've been saying this for a while. This is going to air a little bit later than we're recording it, and that's okay. But in this market, in a market that's kind of either flat or down, you have got to nail the sales price. This is not the market to get top dollar. You just because the ARVs top out at whatever it is, you don't go for top dollar, go for a little under and just plan on it kind of sitting. Things are sitting a little bit longer. If that's where we're seeing a lot of pain, is that, before wholesalers, retail sales, and fix and flippers could sell within 30 to 60 days, that's not happening right now. So there is opportunity for buyers for sure, because there's a lot of hungry sellers. But just as long as you have really tight numbers and you have some play there, people are doing fine. But it is a tough market to sell in for sure. But if there's any time to sell, it's literally right now. More and more people are moving to this area. So,
What I'm seeing though, Julie, is the investment property, the ugly ones. Those sell super duper
oh yeah,
quickly.
that's true. We are,
Yeah,
yeah, you're right. Under 200, we're seeing multi-offer on almost
yeah,
everything. You're right about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, because with Kyle, my client, we keep on like, if he waits 2 days, it's too late. They're gone. I feel like people are looking more into these kind of smaller budget house, and the investors come from a lot of different states. Like we have these guys are from Washington, and we got like people calling from California. For these people, they're all over these smaller property that needs rehab.
Well, and for wholesalers, don't touch it. Just retail, sell it quick. That's the other thing I've been advising wholesalers, like quit putting 20, 30,000 in. It takes 2 months to do, and then you're trying to sell later. Just get it under contract. Don't put in too many fees, and we can move it if it's under that $200,000 rank. You've just got to leave some meat on the bone for the buyer. That's incredibly important. I've seen so many wholesale deals in the last year where they've had 60, 70, 80,000 in wholesale fees, and then it won't sell. Well, why do you need that high of a commission? I don't get it. I'm not criticizing, but if there's no meat left on the bone for the buyer, it is harder to sell for sure.
It is a changing market,
so
so we're all adjusting to the new.
y'all seeing like, let's say a flipper is in a not so well area? Because I've seen a lot of flippers try to get in a not so well area and try to make it look really nice. Or is it easier to flip in a nicer area in a great neighborhood that's a little bit higher price point, but it's a great neighborhood. Everybody wants to live there.
The thing is that there are different kinds of requests from buyers.
Yeah.
Some of them, I want to say the investor clients will be more likely to be looking at these smaller houses in the neighborhoods that are cleaning up or up and coming. You will have the investors will be all over there. If your client is a family, then no, they won't be looking for that for sure. If there's more of one than the other, I don't know, because I've just been working with investors.
Well, as we say, there's a risk reward ratio, right? There's a
Yeah.
higher risk when you're in a tougher area, there's a higher risk, but then there needs to be a higher reward. So you tend to be able to get the properties for much cheaper. Now it might
Mhm.
cost you a little bit more to rehab it, or it might cost you a little less because you don't have to do as high end, but you'll also need to secure it. You don't want it to stay vacant for too long, but we're seeing a lot higher spreads there, but it's a higher risk scenario. So, let's say you buy it into a $500,000 neighborhood and you paid 400, you may only have a $30,000 spread, whereas a really tough area, you might have a $100,000 spread, but it's just a higher risk. So that you need to watch that very closely, that risk reward.
It's-
Mm, I agree. It's a higher risk, but at the same time, the investment is less because the houses are like so much
Right.
smaller. Instead of paying like 300, they'll pay like 85 maybe for a little house that they'll later sell 250. And yes, you have to be smart where you have to do your homework and your due diligence where you buy for sure. Like you have to go on the websites that help you to figure out what's the criminality rate in these area and just be aware of that because certainly some investors have invested in areas where they had all their rehab material in the house and people were just going into these houses and stealing their material, even like sinks, fixtures, and stuff like that. So it's appealing to go into these neighborhoods where the houses are cheaper, but there's definitely you have to, yeah, make sure you analyze your risks very well.
It's been super interesting because I always like try to keep my own like I can see when a house is a flip.
Mhm.
I just like looking, and it's just been from what I'm seeing at least is so I watch someone flip a property. I kind of like just watching them. I'll see them buy it. I'm like, all right, it's a flip, and I'll see like the whole process go through. And in Savannah, it was a good neighborhood. They bought, did the whole flip process. And I was like, all right, it's about to go up for sale. Let's see how long it sits. I was very interested. I was like, let me see how long this thing sits. And sure enough, they sold it in like it was under contract in like 2 days.
That's
Mm,
that's
I was
great.
like, that's so interesting. I was like, so why are they able to get it under contract so quick while other flippers are not? Like, what's the difference? And the one thing that I saw was they made it look not like a flip.
Mm.
It looked very homey. It was very like it was really nice. So that's the only thing that I can think of that like
Be
because
price.
flippers you can tell and they added a little character to this house and made it like really nice. So that's the only advice I could say right now with flippers.
that make it look a little bit more like
They
homey.
spent a little extra time on doing like the nicer details. They didn't
Yeah,
try to do like the bare minimum.
yes.
And yeah, I mean it was
Yeah,
under
that sets you
contract.
apart.
It closed and
They did extra and they probably priced it just under what it was worth.
probably yeah, very well priced.
Right.
So
Brilliant. That's and speed is as valuable as money.
mm,
Like if you can move it out the door for $5,000 less, you're going to save way more than that in hard money costs. I mean, those holding fees are horrible,
yeah.
horrible. Most hard money lenders, there's a penalty after 6 months, and it's not a nice penalty. It's a very painful
Yeah,
penalty.
you could find yourself in a not a good situation pretty quickly if you're not
How do you
careful.
finance your flipping, Miriam?
We have a HELOC. That's what we use our HELOC. I
Gives
love
you
lenders. They serve a great purpose, and they're helping a lot of people like with their projects. But I prefer not depending on anybody else, basically.
I'm going to ask you a hard question. This is going to be hard. Get your crystal ball out. If you were going to buy for yourself 10 flips in Savannah and you can only pick one part of town, where would you buy right now? What do you see 5 years from now as the place you'd invest today? Where do you think the path of progress is going? I'm curious on your thoughts. You know this town very well.
The path of project of progress. Well, I'm a fan of Live Oak personally.
Live Oak
I
is
love
a great choice.
like Siler, like close to Daffin Park. I love Avondale. I love Avondale as really, to me, it's very charming. It's close to the Bonaventure Cemetery, close to the water. It's got this really coastal. There are smaller houses, but I'm a fan of the old vintage
Mhm.
houses of Savannah, and I love the soul of these houses. So I like to preserve that. And I'd love to rehab something like that.
Very good.
So, but so many good neighborhoods that it's hard to say because, there's Abersham Woods and there's Ardley's Park and which is completely different kind of market, but
What do you
it's
think, Chandler? If you had a crystal ball to say, where do you think property values will be higher 5 years
get
from
the
now?
most money.
If you had to flip in one area of town, what would you pick? Because I'll go last on mine, but what would you pick? One area.
Honestly, I'm picking the Ardsley Park. I'm like Miriam. I love those homes. If you can find like, so honestly, a lot of those homes have already been updated. But if you can
Yeah.
find the one in the middle that's not updated and it has that Savannah character to it,
Okay.
honestly, I would want to buy one for myself because I think they're awesome.
yeah, they're
Ardsley.
beautiful.
Or even kind of
But
outside of Ardsley, not into
yeah,
the bad areas, but like
Kensington Park, like Kensington Park is absolutely amazingly beautiful. That's a difficult question, Julie. You know why? Because Savannah is surrounded by marsh. So we're limited in terms of like land that we can build on unless you go out in Richmond Hill and Pooler. But if you want to stay in Savannah,
Which everybody does. Yeah.
yeah, which everybody does, is like, where is the progress? Where are people? I'm thinking the it has to be the West, like West, maybe West Savannah,
Well, yes,
maybe
there's
Skidaway, some parts of Skidaway, but
getting
my
but
money.
progress means that right now the valuation is low and it will increase.
Well,
So I'm thinking,
yeah, but But see, if you can find the part that's gonna be Tony, that's what I mean. Like the like what's gonna be like the hot thing, as far as everybody wants. I'm interested that Chandler's saying Ardsley because I feel like Ardsley was 10 years ago the hot ticket, but
I'm
I
thinking
have money.
smaller. More
Okay.
people are going smaller because everything is more expensive. So smaller houses. That's why I'm like gonna stick to maybe. But Live Oak is getting so expensive, so
Live
it's
Oak's
gotta be
great.
even
No,
out.
you're dead on with Live Oak. If I had to flip 10 properties, Windsor Forest, that's where my money goes.
I almost said that.
I
I
love
almost said
Windsor
that.
Forest. But
Yeah,
there's no bad area in Savannah. We're just
yeah,
very silly and
yeah.
our flip area.
Coffee Bluff, amazing.
Coffee
Just
Bluff.
back here. Yeah. So,
Windsor's interesting. They got some cool looking little houses that can
yeah.
be. The only thing is, a lot of people get driven by just school districts, like
So,
not a very good school district
but
over there.
one of the best school though,
It's a
Chandler.
private school.
The one of the best private school is here in Windsor Forest.
True.
That's what I'm
It's
saying. Unless you want to go private school, the
Country
most
Day, Country
expensive
Day.
private school in Savannah. That's the
The
most expensive private school, but
it is.
there's better private schools, as Julie and I would know.
I know you're telling the competition right now. Chandler and I both represent the two other competitors with Country Day.
Private school.
Uh,
That's
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know anything about schools, you guys. I just know I see the cars, the Beamer, lining up, going to pick up their little kiddos in the
Yeah,
afternoon.
we know what that is.
I
Yeah.
love, I love real estate, and I think it's our job to see the future as investors and as agents and property managers. It's our job to go, what's going to be the thing I've got to get in first? Early adoption makes the money. Do not forget that concept. If you can get in early, you will make way more than the guy 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. So
I was gonna say that. Just look where nobody else is looking,
that's right.
right? It's just kind of the key. So
You also have to think about appreciation. Like things in those smaller little houses don't appreciate as much as like in Ardsley would.
yeah, over time. Yeah, that's true.
But Chandler,
So like,
On a
Ardsley's
house.
already the thing. Like it's already so well done in there. That's what
if you drive through there, you can find some. I drove through there the other day, and I'm like, dang, I want that one. I want that one. But
I
It is
um,
there
beautiful,
are
but
gems in Ardsley, but that got hot back in the 2015, 2016. I mean,
probably yeah,
everybody was going to Ardsley and they finally
true.
got those apartments. Once they redid those apartments, it changed the whole area.
Honestly, that neighborhood, you have a property in there already off of Duran. What's the neighborhood?
yeah.
Kensington
But,
Park.
What is
yeah,
that?
Kensington Park is
Kensington
there,
and
but
also,
Abersham Woods as well. Yeah,
Woods?
Kensington is there.
I always forget the name of my neighborhood. It's a golf course name.
Is it the big?
Is it
It's across
the
waters from Kensington.
Bacon Park or something like that? Is it around there?
Yeah,
Sylvan,
it's near Kensington Park. That's a great area. I used to live in Kensington Park.
Habersham Woods.
No,
There's some cool old houses in there, oak trees in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's a pretty neighborhood.
awesome.
But I'm
It's a very
thinking it's
interesting
gonna
question.
be
Got me
in
thinking.
I'm sorry, we're talking flips and fix and flipping, and I'm like, okay, if we buy 10 houses, let's all tell where we would buy if we had to buy
How
in.
about Ken Park, Julie? About
Park is great.
Ken Park? Yeah.
Absolutely.
What about Liberty City? That was one of my first, like a little house I flipped here. I didn't flip it, but I did a deal with someone there. That's a rough neighborhood, but the houses are cheap there. Nobody's looking there.
I
Yeah.
I have a little joke for everyone. I got an email today from the Garden City Board of Tourism, and I was like, Garden City has a Board of Tourism? But
That's
that's
funny.
another great one where I would say
Yes.
I would
Yes.
buy there. I do own there currently. Like
I agree. I
there's
agree. I like
there's
Garden City.
great sections.
Yeah.
This is why you work with a local. We know our neighborhoods and we don't know it all, but we sure do
Of
love
course.
it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Miriam. It's been a pleasure to get to know you more. I hope the viewer has enjoyed this walk around the world, from Canada down to St. Lucia and finally to Savannah. Like, we're so lucky to have you here. And it's been a pleasure having you as part of Team 912. I know you're going to be one of the best agents in town very soon.
Well, thank you. I appreciate sometimes the words in English, they just don't come.
You are
I'll
fine.
tell you, when we go to like the Cashflow, or when I go to the Cashflow meetups, I'm always looking for Miriam. We always have a good conversation. So
Yes, that's true. Thank you so much, Chandler. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be the best, but I'm going to be my own personal best. So that's what's count because I'm not competing with anybody else but myself. And so I'm going to try to be the best I can be for me.
Right.
And I impact other people on the way, and that's also the goal.
And when going back to your offer, Miriam, and I told you this to your face, I said, I respect you so much as an agent because you could have gone after the top dollar because you get a bigger commission had your client paid more. And you really stuck to your morals right there and you represented your client
Absolutely.
well. Do that on every transaction. And I have so much respect for you. I try to run my life as the same exact way. Like if we're just driven by dollars and cents in our own pocket, we're not truly being a service. And whoever gets to work with you is very lucky. Miriam, talk a
Appreciate
little
that.
bit. If someone wants to reach out to you, they need an agent, they want to talk about fix and flips. How does someone get in touch with you?
They can email me at Miriam at team912.com or yeah, I think that would be the best way to reach out or come to the meetup and let's have a chat.
And if you go to team912.com, we have Miriam's bio on there. It tells a lot about her contact info, and you can always reach out. That will get you guys in touch. But thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure hearing more about you.
Thank you so much for having me. That's been great.
Well, thank you for listening to the episode number 72. I can't believe we have done that many, almost to 100. What are we going to do when we get to 100, Julie?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. We'll have to think of something big.
There we go. But Miriam was awesome. We appreciate her time coming on and telling her story. Please like, comment, and subscribe, share with everyone, and we will see you in the next episode. Thank you.
Bye bye.